Regular City Council. I'd call the regular City of Palmer Council meeting October 14th to order. Before we begin, I'd like to remind the council members, please silence your cell phones. If you have any personal business, let me know, and then we'll take a break. To let everybody know, you only see 3 of us here, but we have 3 people online, so we have 6 of us here. So, Madam Clerk, would you take the roll, please?
Mayor Cooper.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Alcantara.
Here.
Councilmember Carrington.
Here.
Councilmember Collins.
Here.
Councilmember Graham.
Here.
Councilmember Hudson.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. And Mr. Wilson, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We're at approval of the minutes. What's the wishes of the council? Approval of the agenda, I'm sorry.
Move to approve.
Second.
I guess we better take the roll as opposed to having people who are negative say no. Yeah, please take the roll.
Mayor Cooper.
Yes.
Councilmember Carrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Collins.
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Alcantara.
Yes.
Councilmember Graham.
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you. Communications and appearance requests. I don't see that we have actually any elected officials in the office, any boards or commission members. We do have a proclamation that I'd like to read. This is recognizing Red Ribbon Week. It's easier for some people to say. Whereas alcohol and drug abuse affects individuals, families, and communities across the nation, and it is imperative that visible, unified efforts by community members be launched to prevent drug abuse. And Red Ribbon Week offers citizens the opportunity to demonstrate their commitment to drug-free lifestyles. And whereas businesses, government, law enforcement, media, health care providers, religious institutions, schools, and other community-based organizations will demonstrate their commitment to healthy drug-free lifestyles by wearing red ribbons and participating in prevention activities. Therefore, I, Jim Cooper, Mayor of the City of Palmer, do hereby proclaim October 23rd through the 31st, 2025 as Red Ribbon Week. Moving on to reports. Madam Manager.
Thank you. Tonight's report is an update on some city projects, our 2026 budget development process, and some key operational items. And the city continues to focus on fiscal management, organizational efficiency, and some investments in infrastructure you'll see in 2026, as well as some personnel changes to maintain services for the Palmer community. In accordance with Palmer City Code 2.10.03.0B, which requires me, the city manager, to prepare and submit an annual budget to the City Council on or before October 15th, I have placed proposed FY 2026 proposed budget books on the dais this evening for everyone's review and consideration here for the Council. We will have a more in-depth discussion for each department on the October 21st special meeting. Some notable highlights that you'll see in this proposed budget is adding 1 additional full-time evidence clerk to the police department. We're also upgrading a part-time special services coordinator from part-time to full-time, and then we're also doing a library technology administrator transitioning from part-time to full-time, and we also are doing a 2.5% COLA adjustment for city employees. And what's also important to note that I've used some previously appropriated funds, but that were unspent, to fund some capital projects for the next year. And this budget does not expand city services, but strengthens our existing operations by aligning the staffing levels with current service demands. These Adjustments are intended to increase operational efficiency and maintain the service quality that everyone expects. And as part of the FY 2026 budget, I've also made some organizational adjustments, which will establish the Palmer Public Library as a standalone department, reporting directly to the city manager's office. The library's size and scope of services justify its independent status, and it also aligns with structures that you commonly see throughout other municipalities. Most importantly, the above-mentioned items I have said and the organizational adjustments, I have maintained a balanced general fund budget with a surplus of just over $611,000. However, we do have some capital requests coming forward for the council's consideration as part of our continued focus on maintaining and investing in our infrastructure. Now moving on to some of our current projects. The Bogart Booster Station is now fully operational and providing service to the South Village area. This is a significant milestone in our water system capacity, so it's a great thank you, Public Works, for bringing this to fruition. Another project we are working on with our contracted HR firm for the month of October, which will be ending at the end of this month, is we're going to be conducting a comprehensive wage comparison study to assist in revising our Palmer city pay plan to more align with our needs. The results will help ensure our compensation structure remains competitive and equitable across all departments, and HR and I are working together to make this happen. On an exciting update, the library RFP closed and a notice of intent to award has been issued. Following the conclusion of the protest period, I'll bring forward the appropriate legislation for council approval. We've also closed our IT services RFP, and the scoring committee has until mid-October, about October 20th, to submit their evaluations to my office. Once the scoring is complete, we will bring forward the next steps for the selection process. This will make us more web-based services and streamline some of our financial services as well. And we'll also see in 2026 some several infrastructure updates are planned for City Hall, including some carpet replacement and interior paint, including here in City Chambers. And most of these funds were appropriated in fiscal years of 2023, but remained unspent. And we're now moving forward with some of these expenditures. And looking ahead, we are coming into our legislative season, and it will be important for all of us to come together collectively and establish a legislative priority list. I've taken the liberty of beginning this process. However, I welcome council's input on the priorities so we can develop a comprehensive list and have a united front during the legislative season. And so that we can also present Palmer's needs and long-term vision together. Thank you.
Thank you. Do any members of the council have questions of the manager? Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you so much, City Manager Zirkle. First question is, I got this a lot out campaigning, is what is the total staff number for the city of Palmer? I just always said 80, just as a threw out a round number, but I have no idea, and I'm kind of looking around for that actually number.
It depends on the season. Are you including the part-time seasonal staff, or are you just doing full-time? I can get those
I think
exact
pretty much
numbers.
full-time, but I know from past budgets, this is my third one, that I just remember a number somewhere around 76, 78.
That's
that
correct, and I
ballpark.
can get you the total staffing of also the part-time and the seasonal staffing as well.
Okay, thank you. And then follow up. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So is this information that you handed out to us tonight, does this hit a website tomorrow or next week, or when does the public get the same stuff that we were able to hand out, or does this go on a website? How does that work?
I will ask Gina when what the protocol is for that. I just wanted to deliver it to you so I didn't have to chase everyone down tomorrow. Just deliver it per code. I had until October 15th, and today seemed like an advantageous day to present it to you.
Well then, okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any questions? Any questions from the folks on screen?
Everybody's still muted.
Hearing none. All right, we'll move on to my report. I don't really, obviously, been here a day, so don't have a big report. What I would like to have people notice is everyone that is on the dais today, and as of yesterday, we have all gone through a campaign this year. That is absolutely the first time that that's ever happened, and you have actually 7 people actually doing something to try to get reelected. which is really kind of amazing to me, and you know, it kind of makes me proud that there's a lot of people who want to step up and serve the city of Palmer. And I will defer to the city clerk on AML. We have a municipal league meeting December around 9th timeframe, and we're also going to go over our revised meeting schedule. Anybody have any questions for me? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No real questions. I realize you've been mayor now for 24 hours, so I'll let you go this time. I just want to point out that big shoes to fill, and the fact that Mayor Carrington always had a written report in the thing. So I look forward to pictures and written information in future mayor's reports. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Moving on to the clerk's report.
So as a Mayor Carrington Cooper, it's gonna be I put a packet of papers on each of the council members on the dais regarding AML. It is not till December. However, we have some newly elected official training that I'm gonna reach out to our new council members to look at their schedules, see if they're interested. I always encourage you to attend. I realize some might be going out of town during those dates, but we'll try to make something work. And then for everyone, including the mayor, I just wanted you to have the dates for AML to start looking at your calendars. I'm trying to be a little bit more proactive than we've been in the past, where the clerk's office is scrambling to do travel arrangements. So, and we run out of hotel space, yada yada. So I just wanted to put this packet of paper out for you guys so you can kind of all be prepared that AML is coming. And I will be reaching out in the next week to start making travel arrangements and see who wants to go. The next main thing I had on my clerk's report is I also gave everybody a table of the future meetings that are coming up for the rest of the year. We have a special meeting scheduled for October 21st at 5 p.m. for department budget presentations. Then we have our October 28th regular meeting at 6 o'clock. The next ones that we need to look at rescheduling perhaps is November 11th, which of course is a city holiday. So my suggested change was to November 4th. The November 25th meeting, which is of course the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, if we want to move it, our suggested change was November 8th. Basically move all the meetings up a week. November 18th. December 9th is smack dab in the middle of AML. So, and you know what? I realized I put on my suggested change the 7th. Let's do the 2nd. And then the December 23rd meeting, which of course is 2 days before Christmas, move up to December 16th. Those would all remain regular meeting dates, and I could give the public plenty of notice that we're changing the dates. So that was why I wanted to suggest it now as opposed to later. So any questions on that or objections?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for this, City Clerk Johnson. I think that's a good idea to kind of move these meetings away from Veterans Day and closer to Christmas and other things, and to give the public ample notice that we're going to kind of switch our second and fourth Tuesdays to first and third Tuesdays just for those couple of months in November and December. But I did want to question and ask if on the 21st, yes, this is a bit self-serving for me, but I also think it's better for the general public if maybe we could kind of split the difference and do a 5:30 start time next Tuesday. And I think a lot of it is just, I commuted to Anchorage for 12 years. And people ask me all the time, run for city council, run for city council. I'm like, I can't. I don't get off work till 6 o'clock. No way I can make a 6 o'clock meeting. And I think way back in the day, and the mayor could attest to this, I think they actually started city council meetings at 7 p.m. But be that as it may, I think we're fairly entrenched in our 6 p.m. start times, which seem to work. But I'm just wondering if maybe if nobody has an objection, we could do a 5:30 start time next Tuesday for the department budget presentations, because there's public that wants to participate in that. I think it just gives them a little more opportunity to, all of our commuters to get out of Anchorage and other folks to get here by 5:30 instead of 5.
Yeah, I don't think that anybody has a problem with that. We actually discussed that earlier today, 5 or 5:30. And the reason we went to 5 was that we have 5 department heads that are gonna be given their briefs on what's going on. And we didn't want to necessarily delay that to the next meeting. So, I think we'll give it a shot for 5:30 then. Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, please, go ahead.
It's Victoria.
I just want to make sure I heard you say 5:30.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yep, that works perfect. Thank you so much.
You bet. So 5:30 it is on the 21st.
And then the last thing I had on my little agenda is for the incoming council members, and I can reach out separately. I wanted to do almost like an onboarding with you guys. It seems a little unfair that we're like, thanks for being elected, go to work. So I just wanted to have a quick meeting with whoever wants to attend a council, I'll reach out, and the city attorney may or may not she can be there by Zoom or phone, but it's just going to be a very quick, like, here's all our directors' names and numbers, here's the council meetings for 2026, just something like that so that you're not walking in blind. So I will be reaching out to come up with a date with that for you guys. I don't even care if we do a Saturday, like I'm available for that. So I'll be reaching out. And that's the conclusion.
Thank you. Madam Attorney?
I just want to point out that the lawyer is going to be faster tonight.
Right.
And in conjunction with the training, Benji's been wonderful to work with. So I will be either Zooming in or be available for that. We wanted to go over some basic OMA stuff. And then I've gotten a lot of questions about social media policies and how the legislature handles that and that sort of thing. So those will be some things that will be available for discussion. Otherwise, I'm pretty open to questions. You've seen all the drafts that are beforehand that have been tasked for things, but working with the team over here, and they're all rock and red. So.
Anybody have any questions with the attorney? Well, thank you so much.
Quick.
So we're now at audience participation. Council meeting rules protect your right to testify and be heard even if others in the room disagree with you. Council meeting rules also ensure that those attending can express their views if they do not interfere with the rights of others to see and hear the proceedings. At all times, order and decorum will be maintained in keeping with the civility and dignity of the legislative process. Please be respectful during audience participation. No disruptions to city business or threats of any kind will be allowed. Any threats against others could result in criminal prosecution. Individuals who cannot follow these guidelines will be removed. And so please sign in, state your name, and we'll give you 3 minutes per person.
I don't have the list. It's such a precarious spot to be in. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you, ma'am.
Michelle Pawlik is first. And you'll have to turn the microphone on. And it's the button on the bottom.
Testing.
Perfect.
Better if I sit or stand?
Your choice.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Michelle Pavlik, and I live here in Palmer. On Sunday night, when it was dark and a little blustery, my husband and I found a kitten chasing leaves around the middle of a road in our neighborhood. We debated a little bit about what to do. Maybe this was someone's outside cat, maybe it was a stray. But in the end, we determined that the middle of the road wasn't a good place for even the most seasons of cats to be at night, and we took it home. If I was in another town, I'll admit, I may not have been so quick to scoop up that kitten. But here in my own community, I felt a sense of duty, because this is my home, my area of responsibility. I'll quickly admit, people who are struggling and without homes are not like kittens, clearly. But I think as a community, we all have the opportunity and the duty to step forward and care for those within our area of responsibility. As we know, finding people who are already at their lowest isn't going to help them turn their lives around. It's not for the benefit of these people, but instead a way for our community to penalize and push neighbors out of our town so we don't have to feel responsible for them. Everyone has someone in their life that they need to provide a little extra support to. If you think about it, I'm sure they'll come to mind. Someone from work, your church, or maybe even a family member. I would urge City Council and our community to think about ways that we can extend this extra support to our neighbors who are most down on their luck. Maybe that's creating a sanctioned and managed camping location where existing aid organizations and groups like local churches can provide services. Maybe that's spreading information about local support systems and resources in the community so people can be advocates and pass out information instead of fines. By passing this fining ordinance, Palmer would be ignoring the duty of supporting all of its citizens, rather pushing out its most vulnerable neighbors and saying, "Not my problem." Palmer can be a community that meets hardship with compassion, not citations. We can choose reasonable, low-cost solutions that fit our town and actually reduce homelessness. If we carve out time to work together on this, we can do better at caring for all of our neighbors and supporting those within our area of responsibility. Thank you.
Fran Segerboss?
Good evening, Ms. Mayor and council members. Thank you for letting me speak before you. A few years ago, I was on the Parks and Rec Committee for the City of Palmer, and I do know that the problem at that time was a lot of homeless people sleeping in the parks, and one of the major concerns were the needles that were being left behind and the cleanup of needles and the dispense of the needles. And I just feel that this particular ordinance is very draconian. It doesn't allow for an alternative place for people to stay in a warm place during the winter, and we're on the edge of the cold season. And I really think that Palmer should not look at it as a problem by itself, but should coordinate with Mat-Su Borough, the city of Wasilla, and really find a warm place for people to stay in the winter. It's not that much to put in one place, and everybody deserves a roof over their head and a warm place in the winter. And I agree with the lady before me and a lot of what she said, and I'm not going to take up more of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
David Wilson?
Thanks.
Good evening, Mayor Cooper and council members. My name is David Wilson. I'm the president of the City of Wasilla. Tonight I'm here on behalf of my employer, Mat-Su Foundation. Just want to first say thank you or congratulations to council members Collins, Councilman Carrington, Councilman Graham, and Mayor Cooper on your recent elections and newly appointed positions within the City of Palmer. And look forward to continuing to work with the City of Palmer and building a healthier and Mat-Su. Part of that, as the clerk passed out, is some of you got an email earlier. I know that new council members is new for you, but Mat-Su Health Foundation has a new data dashboard called Mat-Su Measures. This is a wonderful free tool for anyone in the public to utilize. The Mat-Su Health Foundation is doing a specialized training for our elected officials and government employees for the boroughs and the cities and the state to understand how to utilize this dashboard. This tool can be used for service city planning, for grants, just understanding a lot more data what we have. The Mat-Su Health Foundation spends millions of dollars on data, so we are very information data rich, but we don't need information for, so we want to make sure that folks understand how to utilize the data that we have. And this training will also have sort of a dashboard every 3 years. Part of our nonprofit to maintain the hospital is that we have to do a community health needs assessment, also called the CHANA, and we will be giving sort of a preview of what some of that might be. So this is your inside information to get that preview coming to this training on, gosh, you guys have my flyers. Yeah, right there. I believe it's the 21st, and breakfast will be provided, and we look forward to seeing you guys and plenty of time to put that out notice so we don't have any meetings after that. So thank you guys again. We'll be back to talk about your ordinances.
Thank you.
Hannah Petrich?
Dear Mr. Mayor and members of the council, my name is Hannah Petrick, and I'm here to urge you to vote no on ordinances 25005 and 25006, which make it illegal to sleep or camp on any public property or right-of-way of Palmer. Because Palmer has no homeless shelter, these measures would effectively criminalize people for having nowhere else to go. Punishing someone for sleeping outside does not solve homelessness. It only deepens suffering and makes it harder for people to get back on their feet. Fines and citations trap people in cycles of poverty and hardship, and similar laws in other communities have proven both ineffective and inhumane. There's nothing pro-life about laws that punish people simply for existing without a home. True respect for life means valuing every person's dignity and safety, not just when it's easy and convenient, but especially when it's hard. These ordinances are not only cruel, they are also unconstitutional. The 8th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution prohibits the government from imposing cruel and unusual punishments. In 2023, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that criminally punishing unhoused people violates the 8th Amendment if there are no other public areas or appropriate shelters where those individuals sleep, such as in Palmer. This decision reaffirmed a 2019 ruling in Martin v. Boise, a case involving nearly identical camping bans in Boise, Idaho. Passing these ordinances would not only put Palmer on the wrong side of morality and the Constitution, it would also invite costly legal challenges the city is unlikely to win. These measures are hasty attempts to clean up the appearance of homelessness without addressing its causes or helping people take real steps toward permanent housing. We cannot arrest our way out of homelessness. Removing unhoused people from public spaces without doing anything to help them is inhumane, degrading, and unconstitutional. Cities have a responsibility to protect public safety for all residents, no matter where they live. Punishing poor people isn't going to help. If the city truly wants to solve homelessness, it must invest in affordable housing, mental and behavioral health care, substance abuse treatment, and poverty reduction, not punishment. It's up to our elected officials to stop deflecting blame and take real action to strengthen our community through compassion and evidence-based solutions. Palmer has a proud tradition of caring for our neighbors. Compassion, not punishment, is the Palmer way. Please reject these ordinances and affirm that Palmer stands for dignity, decency, and justice for all of its residents. Thank you for your time and your service to our community.
Matt McHenry.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Matt McHenry. I'm not a member of Palmer. I live in South Keatna, but when I saw that you guys were voting on 25005 and 25006 tonight, I felt really urged to come say something, so I wrote something down. The Palmer City Council is considering two ordinances, 25005 and 25006, that would make it illegal to sleep or camp anywhere on public property, the rights of way, including sidewalks and streets. Palmer has no homeless shelter. These measures would criminalize basic human needs rather than address the causes of homelessness. Fines for sleeping outdoors would only deepen hardship for those already struggling and could violate constitutional protections of due process and public welfare. Similar bans in other cities have increased homelessness and pushed people in more dangerous, isolated areas. I've come on some hard times in my winters here in Alaska, and I've been super privileged and fortunate to have people to call on to help me financially or with a couch to surf on or whatever it may be. A lot of people are not that lucky to have that, and I hope before you guys vote on this, you can dig deep and find some compassion and really think about what you're voting on here tonight. Thank you for your time.
Martin Moffett.
Good evening. I live one block outside the city limits of Palmer, so I can't vote, but do own property inside the city of Palmer. And I just want to speak in support of most of the ordinances that you'll be looking at this evening. Talking to a number of realtors in the valley, and they mentioned that there are a lot of people moving from Anchorage to Palmer, specifically because of the deteriorating lifestyle, increasing crime, homelessness. Whatever we allow and tolerate and encourage, we're going to get a lot more of it. And we have thousands of guests at our property over the course of the year, and I don't know how many times people say Palmer is such a nice place. We can walk down the sidewalk and go to Nathan Blues, Turkey Bread, or the Ale House, and they just appreciate the feel in Palmer. And I think that allowing homelessness and sleeping on sidewalks is going to totally change the the dynamic of downtown Palmer, and the walkability of the town, friendliness to families, the Friday Fling, all of that can change dramatically. And so I think you need to be aware of that. And I was disappointed this year that only 7% of the citizens of Palmer voted this last time around. And while I'm pretty discouraged about the apathy and how unimportant people are, I'm realizing most people probably didn't know there was an election. We don't have newspapers like we used to and radio stations, and so I flew in because I'm on Facebook, I'm watching different pages that have to do with Palmer and with the Valley and so forth. But while not many people vote, once something happens, like a hot button issue like we had a couple of times in the last couple of years, people do get to come out of the woodwork then. And so they do pay attention even if they don't vote. And so I want you to keep that in mind and be supportive of both the ordinances that you have in front of you today.
Thank you.
Jackie, go for it.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council. My name is Jackie Goforth. I was going to speak to you about library books because the U.S. Title 18, Chapter 71 specifically states that obscenity is not a protected part of the First Amendment. It's not. It never was. And obscenity is clearly defined in the Alaska Statute 11.61.128. And it states the Miller test, which is how you define obscenity. And in order to define obscenity, you go by community standards and average adults and what people find patently offensive. And you use the community to find that out. You don't use people who are educated elites who think they can tell you what it is. Obscenity is discovered by the community at large. And to do that, the Mat-Su Borough formed two committees. They formed one over at the school district called the Library Citizens Advisory Committee, and they formed one at the borough right now, which is the Library Citizens Advisory Committee. Now, the members of the school one included 5 school district librarians and teachers, 5 of them. And of those, they found 7 books offensive. They found 7 books to be obscene that the school district chose. One of them was unanimous. They found 7 books to be obscene, librarians and school educators. Now, in the Mat-Su Borough, by following the law, they also have a librarian on their committee, and she also voted that a book, same one that the school district did, it was unanimous obscene. So when you hear people tell you that there's no obscene books, there are. It's only 0.0000 whatever %, but they're in there. It's like a landmine, and when we find them and we bring them down to the librarian, we would ask for just a fair hearing of whether or not that is obscene based on the law. That's all. It doesn't mean we want censorship. It doesn't mean banning. There are 30,000 books that were published last month alone. How many did the Palmer Library buy? If she only bought 300, then that meant there were 29,700 of them that she censored. Not selecting a book is not censoring. It's protecting children. And that's our job. And that's why I speak out. I love libraries, I love books, I write books. I just want children to keep their innocence and have their parents be responsible. Now when it comes to the homeless situation, I come from a family of enablers. My mother enabled meth addiction. I have a brother in prison for meth addiction, and his children, or she just had her kids taken away because of meth addiction. If you enable something, you get more of it. I am fully in support of 005 and 006. I don't believe it's humane to enable someone to do something that is dangerous and damaging. If you enable it, you get more of it. There has to be a solution. We need to have a homeless shelter somewhere, but there has to be a solution that's not enabling it. Thank you.
Ginger?
Do I have to turn this on?
No, just bring it a little closer to you. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. My name is Ginger Bain for the record, and I want to start by, first of all, thank you very much, all of you, for my family, my believe my neighborhood, the most important thing for us is local government, and that's where you guys are. And your willingness to serve is obviously not for the power and glory involved in the office that you hold. It's because of your commitment to this community, and thank you for your service. That being said, I'm here today to speak in terms of the ordinance regarding use of public spaces. And I'm moved by a couple of things. First of all, I do believe, I'm not sure that I'm opposed to the idea of regulating the use and restricting, in some cases, the use of our public spaces. We do it all the time. We have operating hours. You're not allowed to take a whiz in the corner of the playground. You're not allowed to smoke. You're not allowed to do those kinds of things. But the problem that we're facing here is that in spite of the neutral language of the proposed ordinance, the only reason that we're having this discussion is because you feel the need to protect our public spaces because they're being used to house people who have no other safe place to go. And as a person who has a family member who is on the streets now, tonight, I don't know where he is, and I do know he has no place to go. And he's been sleeping on the street and under the park benches and wherever he can find a place, and this has been on for 2 years. And that's just one of many. I've also lived in many communities throughout Alaska where the homeless issue is one of the most burning issues we face. Because we know that a substantial number of the people who are on the street are challenged by mental and physical health conditions that make them sometimes a danger to themselves and others. But more than anything, they're in danger. We have pushed them so far out on the edge of the herd that they have no protection. And, I do believe that we do have to give our public safety persons and the people who maintain our public spaces the tools they need in order to regulate those public spaces for the purpose in which they're designed. And they are not designed for places for people to sleep. I understand that. And I understand the nature. But it's not a way that we can avoid dealing with the fact that we have a substantial number of people every night in this community that are in danger of dying on our streets because they have no safe shelter. And if there's any community in the state of Alaska, and I've been in a lot of them, that has the potential to have a creative fix for that, I believe it's Palmer. You have made many hard and important decisions over the years that has preserved this community as a unique place in the state. Palmer is a unique city in many, and your capacity for compassion and caring for each other is unsurpassed, except maybe the only thing I've seen near it is the times that I've lived in Village last. So I appreciate your work here, and I applaud your efforts, and I hope that you find a solution to this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ron Ebach, for the record, and I'm speaking about the ordinances 25005, 25006, relating to unauthorized camping in public property and sleeping on sidewalks, yards, or within doorways. Many of you have heard the saying about the definition of insanity. It's doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. A no vote on the ordinances and to allow camping and sleeping in public spaces in Palmer is doing the same thing over and over again that our neighboring cities of Portland, Seattle, and now Anchorage has allowed for years or have been prohibited from enforcing laws by the federal government. The results have been the same. As the cities have grown in wealth and population like Palmer's now, the people who need help have been sent to the streets. Each year the situation steadily gets worse, a larger population, camping in the streets, and more disease, crime, drugs, and violence. I envision a more progressive future for Palmer. As stated in the proposed ordinances, the Supreme Court, as of June 2024, grants passed, Mrs. Johnson, has finally allowed cities to enact and enforce no public camping and sleeping. As proposed in the ordinances, Palmer should enact this legislation and strictly enforce it. But more importantly, as proposed in the ordinance, under the enforcement section, subsection B, city personnel, when practicable, shall provide information on available shelters of services. I see Palmer as a place where an addict or mentally ill or a person down and out has a place where they have information and someone to give that help they need. Instead of using our resources as our neighboring cities are doing now, trying to clean up the streets, Palmer can be using our resources to connect people who need help with the community and private resources. I can't see the compassion or anything possibly good to allow a person who has a hard time making good decisions from addiction, mental illness, or just doesn't realize other options to be sleeping in public places. The outdated thought process that it is cruel and unusual punishment to allow a person to sleep on the street has obviously been proven wrong, as evident in cities throughout our country. The easy thing to do is to allow people who need help to be on the streets and expect that something should get better, or they should suddenly make good decisions. The easy thing has been done across our country in cities like Portland, Seattle, and Anchorage. As the people who really need help suffer on the streets, and they will really suffer as winter arrives in Palmer and the north wind blows. Let's learn from others' mistakes and not practice insanity by doing the same thing other cities have been doing. Vote yes on these ordinances. Let Palmer be an example of not the last frontier, but the new frontier of hope.
Carolina Graver.
My name is Carly McGraver. I live within the Palmer city limits, and I would like to address the misconceptions about the two ordinances up for public hearing. To start, the up to $300 fine information from the Matsu Sentinel circulating article is taken from the 2025 budget's fine schedule, which is being reworked this budget season and is subject to the council's approval and may be changed. Additionally, $300 would be the fine for a third infraction of that example, which means anyone being charged that amount at the officer's discretion would have had multiple opportunities to receive the assistance offered, as PMC also states that if needed, city staff will provide information on available assistance. Regardless, there must of necessity be a consequence in place for breaking code, hence the fine, and this legislation is not about making money, it's about the safety of Palmer. This legislation is applicable only to the 5 square miles that constitute the city limits of Palmer, Alaska. For example, that area does not include Mount Easter River Park, Jim Creek, or Buffalo Mine Road, as well as popular hunting and fishing areas. Those recreations will not be affected as they are not subject to Palmer City's code. It also does not apply to private property within the city. Individuals who wish to camp on their own property or invite individuals, homeless or otherwise, to do so will not be affected by this legislation. It also does not apply to individuals who are sleeping in a vehicle within the city limits. That has not been a safety concern thus far and is not part of this legislation. I would also like to address misconceptions about this legislation's intentions. This legislation is not intended to criminalize homeless individuals. It clearly states that it is intended to prohibit conduct, not status, in a content-neutral manner that preserves public spaces for their intended uses. To have a fine associated with this legislation is a normal and necessary part of any city code, and is meant to deter individuals who would violate it unnecessarily from doing so, and for those who would be in violation out of necessity, to be incentivized, if discretionary, to take advantage of one of the options the Valley provides as alternatives, which our staff go above and beyond to provide. More on that later. Here is the difference between homelessness and vagrancy, and where this legislation comes into play. Homeless individuals are not criminals, and are not by nature a threat to public safety. Our city staff and council, and our police, fire, and EMS are more than happy to and do offer to assist those who are down on their luck, who have faced eviction, abuse, or neglect, and are desperately in need of and desiring that assistance. I know people in this room and around our city who have also personally offered these individuals rides, food, medical assistance, and other resources when they are needed at the expense of their own time and money. Despite the many comments stating we haven't tried anything else, Palmer and the Valley have many organizations in place to aid individuals dealing with homelessness. I helped spearhead a meeting between these organizations when I was on council, and they work together very well and have hundreds of successful interventions between them. My House, Set Free Alaska, Family Promise Matsu, and the Matsu Coalition on Housing and Homelessness, to name a few. However, when the status of homelessness is complicated by other deep-seated issues such as addiction, mental health diagnoses, etc., the safety of Palmer is now a concern. Oftentimes, when one of those complications is involved, the individuals in question will not accept help, often solicit money and resources from citizens for a living, and continue a destructive behavior both to themselves and others, as well as to public and city property. I will have more to say during the hearing. Thank you.
Sebastian Wright.
Good evening, council members. My name is Sebastian White. I live here in Palmer. I'm here tonight to urge you to vote against the proposed camping ban. This ordinance will not reduce homelessness in Palmer. It will make the problem worse. Banning people from sleeping on public land just simply pushes them from block to block, punishing them with fines they cannot afford to pay for the basic need of sleep. These fines create yet another financial barrier that makes it even harder for people to stabilize their lives and escape homelessness. Study after study shows camping bans increase homelessness. After Austin, Texas reinstated their camping ban, shelter homelessness jumped from 567 to 818 people, and unsheltered homelessness nearly doubled. You cannot ignore these outcomes. These laws don't make our community safer. Research shows that 91% of people who receive move-on orders simply relocate 2 or 3 blocks away. And because Palmer lacks a year-round homeless shelter, where exactly are these people supposed to go? This ordinance will force most of our most vulnerable neighbors into more isolated locations away from clean water, restrooms, and the services they desperately need. I urge this council to reject this camping ban and instead commit to real solutions that address the housing crisis in our community. And I can end with a quote. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in. I needed a place to sleep, and you fined me $300.
Jake Gold.
Hey everyone, sorry, I feel more comfortable standing. My name is Jake Gold. I am a lawyer in the Valley. I live in Palmer, and I'm asking you to vote against the 2 ordinances. In my assessment, 2 big issues. First one is that it's going to be very expensive. The second is that it's kind of pointless. In terms of the cost, it's not clear to me, I agree with prior speakers, it's not clear to me that this ordinance is going to survive scrutiny of the Alaska Constitution. Obviously, and it says in the ordinance, Grants Pass says that these types of ordinances are okay under the U.S. Constitution, but there's some real differences in how Alaska courts interpret our analog to the 8th Amendment and how they interpret involuntary acts. Another notable difference is that the city of Grants Pass had shelters. Read the Grants Pass case. It talks about the shelters that were available in that city. The Mat-Su Valley has 0. Now, this is going to be expensive because I anticipate there will be litigation. I'm not promising it for myself, but I know the ACLU of Alaska is involved. And I know that one case that is being litigated right now just came back on remand from the Supreme Court of Alaska in May. Right? It was litigated in the trial court, and it went up to the Supreme Court of Alaska. And then it came back, and they're litigating more. I don't want to see the government spending money on that. I don't. There are better ways to spend that money. But even so, and that's just the abatement program. Even so, even if it wasn't going to be expensive, it's also pointless because it's not going to reduce homelessness. Other speakers have testified about how these things have worked in the past and how they have not worked in other cities. But it is also just sort of a common sense that you can't find someone out of homelessness. Charging someone, even if, as Ms. Graber testified, even if it's not $300 at the start, that's not going to get someone to stop being homeless because the reason they're homeless is they don't have money. There's also no shelters in the valley. People have talked about that. And Ms. Graver and other speakers have talked about other resources that are available. My House, Set Free, or 2 that I've heard. I've worked to get clients into those places, and those applications take months. That is not an easy process. There's someone who works in my office in public defender agency. Again, I don't speak on behalf of the agency. There's someone in my office whose whole job is helping people get into those places. Because it is a specialized thing. That is not a solution. And it's almost a stick in the eye, it's a poke in the eye to say, well, don't worry, we're going to tell people that there are resources when there are no actual shelters. There are some places that might offer some stabilization, there's no actual shelters. And even if, I know people have said this isn't about criminalizing homelessness, even so, if the idea is, well, let's at least get them out, PPD doesn't have lawful authority to arrest people like this. So if that's your goal, is that PPD goes and arrests someone, so at least they're going to spend the night in Mat-Su pretrial rather than on the street, PPD doesn't have authority to do that. That's just not how the law works for violations. So I ask you guys to get some shelters built, work on supportive housing. Thanks.
Molly Banis.
Hi, thank you. I also work in criminal defense and capital opportunity to represent a lot of our community members who struggle with homelessness. I don't believe that this ordinance really addresses some of the other community concerns that we've had expressed here today. I do believe that this could spiral into criminal charges for people, specifically disorderly conduct for failing to obey a lawful order by a peace officer. I've seen that used in the past. I want to echo some of our other community members' statements about homelessness being maybe not the root cause of a lot of people's homelessness. It's substance abuse or mental health. And if you tell someone with mental health, wake them up from a deep sleep, you gotta leave, move, that could be very disorienting for that person. I think we're putting the cart before the horse here with this. I think that we see what's going on in Anchorage and we don't want that to happen here. But I think we need to first establish a shelter and then start working on ways where we can get our community members into those shelters. Right now, doing this first is just not logical. I don't want us to turn into Anchorage. I love Palmer. I love how it feels. I don't like how Anchorage feels. But we just need to be a little bit better, give more forethought to establishing those shelters first, then working with people with mental health and substance abuse. I'd ask that you vote no to the ordinances. Thank you.
Mallory Sadler.
Hi, I'm Mallory Sadler, and just to be really redundant, I'm also a lawyer here in Palmer. I wanted to bring up a few more points. So a similar ordinance to this passed in Anchorage, and it's not helping. It's not doing anything. What actually would help is programs like another one that exists in Anchorage, the HOPE program. That program is really built as a bridge between social work and police officers to help build trust in the community, to help bring resources to people who actually need them, cold weather shelters, and provide direct aid like food. Those are things that would help. If there was a way that we could criminalize our way out of homelessness, someone in the United States would have figured it out by now. That's simply never going to happen. And things are getting worse. A lot of people in this community are one paycheck away from homelessness. Simply giving them no place to sleep isn't really going to do anything. And so I'm coming before you to ask you to invest in resources. That would be very helpful. I know I work with the same people that other people in this community work with. Resources are there, but they're overwhelmed. People have good intentions, businesses have good intentions, but there's too much need. And so investing where we actually need it, in housing, in food, in job programs, in mental health resources, and behavioral health resources, that would make so much more of a difference. And I know that Palmer is capable of these things because our community is full of really good people with really good intentions. This law postures in a way, this ordinance postures in a way that eliminates that good intention. And so I'd ask you to vote no on both of these. Thank you.
Is there anybody else who would like to come forth? Please come forward, state your name and...
Also, I just Hi there, my name is Dave Riddell. I live here in the city limits. I'd like to ask you to vote no, like everyone else before me, on ordinance 25005 and 25006. We're all here because we care about the safety in Palmer. This was before because everybody's worried about safety. The answer is not to compound the problem, to find a solution. The people before me said all the things that I have written down, and I applaud them. There is no homeless shelter, like people said. So before we can kick people off the streets, there has to be somewhere for them to go. I would also support there being some measures in place for helping people get off the streets. We want them to be safe. First, there has to be somewhere for them to go. It's one cart before the horse. Someone just said it. It was very correct. And to poke you in the pride, do we really want to be mini Anchorage? That's the only community in Alaska right now that criminalize sleeping on the streets. I don't want to be Anchorage. That's not our identity. Please vote no. I know that wasn't me, but I don't think that
wasn't very good. David, you want to come up?
Promise to start from 3.
Hi there. I'm Andy Paul. I used to live in Palmer, and I recently relocated to Missoula. I'm here, and want to reiterate, thanks everyone for your public service. Congrats on your election, Jim. I want to humanize the issue of homelessness. I've been working in and around Palmer since 2013, and in a past life I did work with the VA in San Diego. And I know I'm from one of those awful West Coast cities, rife with crime. But you spend some time and you talk to homeless folks out there, and you'll get people from the financial sector. I worked with a lot of vets, obviously. And never have I ever been in a place where you see the failure of our society more than working with actual unhoused people who have given everything to our country and to us. Frankly, it's none of our business why people wind up on the streets. I'll note a famous homeless person by the name of Jesus Christ, who encouraged us to treat people with compassion and charity and recognize the divine in everyone, especially the most destitute and poor. Matthew 8:20 says, "Foxes have dens and birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head." And so it's just a good reminder for us as we consider these topics and issues to approach it with compassion. I would echo support for a borough solution and support personally of what's been said about this ordinance. People are going to go around in the borough, and if we are serious about dealing with the problem, we'll come up with more clever solutions. And I would also echo support for our public defenders who showed up today. If they wanted to make a big hotshot living, they would have gone to big corporate law firms, and instead they're representing the people who need the most representation. So thanks, everyone.
Mr. Alessi, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Mike Molesky. I live in downtown Palmer, and I do not live on the streets, but I am a street walker. And I say that because I think I believe this, that I walk the streets of Palmer more than anyone else in this room. Because every day I go back and forth, I do a walk around. And I say that not because you appreciate how much walking I've done, but over the last 14 years that I've been doing this, I have witnessed the ebb and flow of what we term homelessness, or people sleeping in various places along the streets. I want to commend you all for bringing this topic up again at this time. Some of you remember that a few years ago it came up. You got a lot of testimony from business owners, and a large gathering was held, representation from many of the services. As best I can tell, the major outcome from that was the development of the Navigation Center, which is good work. And so what I was looking forward to when I saw these two ordinances presented was the information about what really is the present situation. Because my anecdotal view is I'm not seeing a sudden rise in population of people who are sleeping on the streets at the moment. Doesn't mean that that isn't a problem. I don't want to go down that road. But what it does mean is that if it is hidden, if it's still ongoing, then you spend a fair amount of money, I believe, for a parking survey to get information to make a decision about parking regulations. I would expect the same or more to take a look at what's happening before having an ordinance that, when I read it, is problematic in enforcement. Just, for example, reading it, what do I do? Do I call 911 if I see someone sleeping on the street? Is that a thing that we recommend and publicize to have any citizen who lives in Palmer do that? It doesn't feel right. So what I'm saying is, I think this is part of the action, but to do it without all the rest that some others have said, I think this is the point. Thank you.
Anybody else would like to come? Audience participation. Seeing none, I will close audience participation this time, and we will take a 5-minute break, please. Yeah.
Turn your mic off.
I'd like to call us back to order, please. Folks. Yeah, grab a chair, everybody. Let's go. Next item is public hearings, and the first one is ordinance serial number 25-005, establishing chapter 9.37, camping on public property to prohibit unauthorized camping within city limits and providing for an effective date. I will open up the public hearing for that. Anyone wishing to speak on ordinance 25-005, please come forward, state your name, 3 minutes. Mr. Wilson.
Thank you.
Good evening, mayors, city council members. For the record, my name is David Wilson, here testifying on behalf of the Mental Health Foundation. Passing out before you is a letter from our CEO, President Mr. Fitz, and I have my own testimony, which I'll go ahead and start. I'm here again to talk upon and thank you for this opportunity to talk about ordinance 25-005, and I'll also address 25-006 as well. One that addresses the camping on public property, and the other one that prohibits sleeping on sidewalks and street alleyways and doorways. We understand and appreciate the City of Palmer's intent to protect public and health and safety, and to ensure that public access remains accessible in all areas, functional areas of the residents of Palmer. These ordinances reflect the growing challenges faced by many communities in the state, and we commend the city for wanting to take steps to address it thoughtfully in alignment with recent legal guidance. At the same time, we recognize these issues are complex and deeply tied to broader challenges such as housing insecurity, behavioral health, and access to services. Enforcement alone can't solve these problems. That's why Mental Health Foundation is here to offer support, not just in principle, but also in practice. We're committed to being a resource to the City of Palmer, as we already provide a lot of training for the CIT for police officers throughout the valley. But if needed, we can also provide technical assistance, additional technical assistance on training for law enforcement and city staff to how to engage with vulnerable population in a trauma-informed and compassionate way. We also can host joint trainings and convening with city leaders, service providers, business leaders, and other community organizations here to build a shared understanding and collaborative solutions. Our foundation has access to data, community partnerships, and facilitation tools to help the City of Palmer and the greater community to navigate these challenges both with accountability and empathy. We believe that with the right support, Palmer can implement these similar ordinances in a way that protects public spaces while respecting the dignity of all the residents. We want to thank you again for your leadership and considering our offer of partnership, and we look forward to working to build a healthier and safer and more connected community. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to speak on 25-005? Seeing no one, we'll close that public hearing. Okay, please.
My name is Carlina Gray, a resident of the City of Palmer. Continuing from before, I've heard comments that this is not an issue, but I remember the public meeting held a couple of years ago when a large group of citizens and business owners in Palmer came forward to share their disturbing experiences. The amount of these experiences within our city limits was sobering and alarming. We took action then, and while we've seen a level of improvement, should continue to take action now as we have this opportunity. Since that meeting, I've heard and seen more of the same. I have from my own front porch seen a man muttering to himself, gesturing and lamenting wildly at hallucinations and breaking into a neighbor's RV. I've seen a man pull a knife and scream at 2 children walking along the sidewalk. A local coffee shop owner described to me how she was driving to the library in the early morning with her son and passed a man lying on the street. When she stopped to help him, he stood up, shouted obscenities, and exposed himself to them. This right in the heart of Palmer. Some employees of our Palmer businesses are frightened inside and outside of their jobs, as these individuals will break in or sleep in entryways, accost them and demand free items. They shout nonsense, threatening words or expletives, pull weapons on them, and do drugs and sleep behind dumpsters. Our own city hall was broken into, and there was someone sleeping in the basement. We all have a role in this issue. To those who do not believe me or have not had personal experience with this issue, I urge you to walk up to one of these individuals and have a conversation with them. Go on a ride along with our police officers and see that those that they have deemed regulars, they encounter multiple times a day. When I did, I saw the tents behind Fred Meyer's where individuals sleep so they can walk down to our intersections to panhandle. I saw an arsonist and drug addict sleeping in a building in Palmer that he had previously set on fire. Our officers use discretion well, and these individuals, I remind you, have been kindly offered help, transportation, and rehab, yet they choose to remain on the streets and threaten the safety of our city. It is these individuals that this legislation will curb the conduct of. May I remind the City Council that your #1 job and responsibility is to your constituents, your taxpayers, and your business owners whom you promised to serve. Think of the 17-year-old barista that's afraid to take the trash out at the end of her shift. Think of the young mother and her children walking past a man sitting in his own puke on the street as he spews expletives at them. Think of the safety of kids walking home from school or playing at the park. Think of the business owners in this economy who hear that their employee was assaulted and harassed and now wants to quit work as it's an unsafe environment. These are all real situations. What will you do to protect the city who's depending on you? To my fellow constituents concerned about the morality of this legislation, some of them have stated that it is unchristlike. I would remind them, Jesus ate with outcasts, prostitutes, and alcoholics. Have you? He offered them healing, sharing the resources he had with them. Have you? He didn't wait for or ask the government to care for them, but he built relationships with them, showing them a better way, which is something the government cannot do. Have you? He didn't enable people to remain in addiction, but called them out to a better way of life, out of love. He calls us to do the same, regardless of your religion. Caring for others is our responsibility, not the government's. What are you going to do about it? Sometimes loving people means not allowing them to refuse help and sit in their own filth, addiction, and manipulation. Sometimes loving someone means challenging them to accept help, go to rehab, and fight the battle that they have given up on.
Thank you. Anyone else like to come forward? Yes.
Good evening, Council. My name is Nick Baker, home resident, born and raised in Alaska. Don't really plan on saying anything, so bear with me while I stitch some words together. I just want to speak on the homeless thing. I've heard a lot of people impassionately speak their opinions, and I think it's very admirable that people want to take care of a lot of these homeless people, but one thing that I think a lot of people don't really seem to realize, and maybe a little bit out of touch, is I've been a firefighter for 7 years previously in another job, and am currently a practicing paramedic for the last 6 years. So I've interacted with these individuals quite a bit, and a lot of these people are not your down on your luck neighbor that just needs a hand up. There's a lot of other issues that are going on that I think people are ignoring, and enabling them to continue their lifestyle is not helping them. And there's a lot of people here that, like I said, passionately have spoken to want to help these individuals, which is very admirable. And I have here the keys to a 2018 Subaru Crosstrek that seats 5. If anybody here would like me to go pick up 5 individuals, I can drop them off at your house. If they're no danger to you, they just need a hand. Feel free to let them live with you if you feel that you're going to be safe doing that. So if you'd like to take me up on that offer, find me afterwards. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jackie Goforth again. My experience with the homeless here in Palmer happened a few times. One is the Moose Kid Park. I was over there playing with my granddaughter, and somebody had taken a nice dump in one of the areas and left the toilet paper there, and there were kids playing. That's disgusting enough. However, I happen to be a very large person, tall, and you wear a big coat, and so I don't get accosted very much, but I have been accosted by people when I was in Salt Lake City, because they also have a huge homeless problem. It's around their library. And in that one block section in front of the library, I got accosted 4 times for money, panhandle. And if you build that library and there's no homeless shelter built somewhere, it will become your sanctuary. I firmly believe that. However, whenever you put a homeless shelter in a neighborhood, it lowers the values there. So I would like to know if anyone here who is speaking no against this ordinance is willing to put the homeless shelter in their house or right next to them or in their neighborhood. Because we're not talking people who are down on their luck. We're talking people who they have decided that this is what they will do and they can't break the addiction or whatever it is that will get them out of it. And they are abusive. So if you enable it, it will continue. That's why this ordinance needs to be passed. And I implore you to give the police some way to handle the homeless situation of those who are not just down on their luck, but they're abusive of the situation. Thank you.
Anyone else like to come forward and speak on this ordinance? Fran, do you want to come up or don't hesitate?
I'm not talking, but I have a neighbor who was an assisted living home, and they had mentally ill that they took care of. And if people are off the streets and have a place to live, they're not out on the streets and they're not bothering the neighbors. That's all I have to say.
Anybody else? Going once, going twice, close the public hearing, bring it back to the council. What are the desires of the council?
Move to approve.
Second. Okay, it's moved and seconded. I would like to, before we open up to other discussion, I would like to make a motion to this. I would like to move this, postpone this till next meeting, and for the main reasons, we have 3 brand new council members. And I want to give them an opportunity to be able to come and process this, talk to the city manager, talk to the clerk, ask more questions so they can reevaluate this, and then we can vote on it on the 28th.
I would second that.
So, we'll take a vote on that, on the motion to postpone it. It will be the meeting of the 28th.
Mayor Cooper,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Alcantara,
Yes.
Councilmember Collins,
Yes.
Councilmember Carrington,
Yes.
Councilmember Graham,
No.
Councilmember Hudson.
Yes.
It's passed.
Thank you.
No, it is postponed.
Okay.
It is postponed to the next regular meeting, so we will move on to ordinance.
All right. So now we'll open up the public hearing for ordinance 25-006, amending Palmer Municipal Code Title 12 and establishing Chapter 12.04 to read as follows. Chapter 12.04 prohibits sleeping on sidewalks, streets, alleys, or within doorways. I'd like to open that public hearing. Anyone wants to speak on that, please come forward.
From the city of Palmer. I think it makes sense why you postponed that first one, so I appreciate them giving customers time to get to maybe know for the city before that they have it and speak with the city staff. I did want to say, like my husband said, there's a lot of people out here tonight to speak on these ordinances, and I'm really thankful that they came out to let their opinion be heard and their voice be heard. However, I do want to ask you to consider more deeply the thoughts of those who live in this city, because we are the ones that are going to be affected by it. Because like I said, I've seen a lot of these issues from my front door. And the people who came from Talkeetna or outside of the city limits, they're not going to see the effects unless they come to downtown Palmer. They don't live where this is going to take effect. And, like I said, I'm glad they're out here and having their voices be heard, but we're the ones that are going to live with what is decided on, so thank you.
Thank you. Anyone?
For the record, if I could have your guys' attention, please. My name is Matt McHenry, and I'm here from Waukegan. I often come, clothes or food, and help them out, help people out in Anchorage or Palmer who are in need. So, I guess I just wanted to let that be known that even though I am coming from out of town, and I didn't vote for any of you because I can't, congratulations on your new seat. That's important. It's important to pick up your neighbors and help them. I'll be here on the 28th, and I look forward to that.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Really briefly, Jake Gold, live in city limits apparently, if that matters. I think, Mr. Mayor, your decision to take this by for a couple weeks is well-founded. It's a good idea to think about it more. One thing that I noticed listening to a couple folks talk from this first row is I think there's a lot of maybe grounded in reality, maybe not, hatred or dislike for homeless people. There's very strong feelings about people who are homeless. A lot of what was described as conduct that is independently illegal, right? Things that this ordinance does nothing for. What I would encourage you all to do during the 2 weeks that you have to think about this is think about whether this is going to be effective at actually addressing those concerns. I think what you heard is a lot of what we used to call do something energy, which is we have to do something because there's an issue. But what you have to think about is, does what we're doing actually address that issue? And I'd submit to you that these two ordinances, neither of them does. So I just hope you'll think about that in the 2 weeks. Thanks.
Jackie Goforth, thank you so much for listening to me, and as a member of the front row, I would like you to know that every time I seem to speak, if it's not a popular thing, I am accused of hatred. I don't have hatred for anyone or anything. The problem is the actions of people. Seriously, I love libraries, I love librarians, I love books, I write books.
Ma'am, can we speak to the ordinance? Thank you.
The ordinance, I have nothing against the homeless, except that if you enable it and make it comfortable and wonderful, you will have more of a situation. That's all. And I would please ask you to postpone this one also. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the council. What are the issues of the council?
Move to approve.
Second. Thank you. I would also like to do two things with this ordinance. The first is what bothers me is one of them says it's within doorways. Doorways are potentially private property, and we cannot regulate private property. So I'd like to make an amendment to this to read prohibited sleeping on public sidewalks, streets, alleys, or within doorways. Second. Thank you. You would like to discuss that? Just clarification, Mr. Mayor. Are you just striking the words? No. Within doorways, or what? No, I'm adding the word public before sidewalks. Thank you. So that indicates that it has to be city-owned. The word public. Okay. Thank you. Any other discussion on that? Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Graham? Is this for discussion? I'm sorry. This is for the vote to add the word public into it. Yes? So we can go back if we need to. Okay. Mayor Cooper?
Yes.
Councilmember Carrington? Yes. Deputy Mayor LaCantra,
Yes.
Councilmember Collins,
Yes.
and Councilmember Hudson.
Yes.
That amendment passes to add the word public into the title between between on and sidewalks.
Thank you. And I'd also like to make a motion to postpone this ordinance as well to our meeting October 28th. Second. Okay, any discussion on that? Yes, sir.
Yeah, just real briefly, some discussion, Mr. Mayor. I just appreciate everybody being here tonight, but I wanted to kind of address some of the things in there. I do think this is a great idea to postpone this by a couple of weeks, not just for the new council members, but for even myself, because admittedly, a lot going on the last couple of weeks and not paying enough attention to this. This is a real hot button issue that hits close to my heart. I mean, and people who know me and includes people in the front row who I have great respect for, by the way, and people who know me know that I left home at 16 years old. 4 years of sleeping on a sleeping bag on the floor, but at least I had a roof over my head. I also spent time living in my car. So there's a lot of personal things that come up in this. And when I left home, after my father died when I was 2, but I left home at 16, I was the oldest one in my family to leave home. And people always try to stop me like, hey, time out, old man, you were 16, you were the youngest one. Like, no, I was the oldest one in my family. My brother left home at 14, 3 sisters left home at 15. So these things hit very close to home. I don't know if 2 weeks is enough time to delay this topic, but I appreciate at least having time to hear from more, whether they be constituents, or like I've said many times, whether they live in Soapstone, Lazy Mountain, Talkeetna, or anywhere else. We want to hear from people that regardless of which side of this topic they're on, we want to be able to hear from those folks. So I do think, at a minimum, delaying this 2 weeks is a good idea. I support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So I know that we are adjusting section A that says public in that section. However, in section B, there's also a vehicular entrance to public or private property abutting a public sidewalk. I think we need to have a discussion about if we are concerned about public doorways, that we also have public property abutting private.
Right. We can give that to the attorney, but, I think what the purpose is, it's all public. Public property, sort of saying it's public property abutting doorways or yards or...
I understand it says private property specifically. And that's my concern, because that's also your concern based on the last motion you made.
Okay. So what you're kind of asking is you would like to make an amendment after potentially remove private, the words private, so a vehicular entrance to public property.
Abutting a public sidewalk,
Or just abutting, get rid of, or private property.
I would like to strike private property entirely from section B, so that it reads, no person may sleep in a pedestrian or vehicular entrance to public property abutting a public sidewalk. I guess it's the word public too many times, but she's making an amendment to strike the language.
Right. Okay, I will second that. Any discussion on that? Let's vote on that amendment, please.
That's the second amendment, let's vote.
Yes.
Or amendment number 2.
Yeah.
Mayor Cooper?
Can you clarify that for everybody?
I'm sorry, I do have this is Allison Collins.
Right.
I'm just been reading this over and over, trying to see because I understand what we're trying to get at. I think as far as we can only pass an ordinance like this that affects public property, but I think the way it being reads currently, but maybe not entirely clearly, is that if you can't have someone sleeping on a sidewalk blocking someone's driveway, I think that's what be the portion that we've been talking about is designed to prevent or designed to allow there to be some action taken if that situation were to develop. And I don't know that striking the language that's been proposed still addresses that situation then. So I think we might need to work on the wording and in the sentence as a whole rather than just adding or striking a word or two. I don't think that gets us where we want to get.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, may I?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I would also like to ask for the attorney's advice on the situation, because I also agree with Allison the way that it was worded. So could we check with her, please?
Yes, absolutely. So 12.04.010, paragraph B.
Councilmember Collins, that was the correct interpretation. There was a helpless report basically giving some examples of some local HOMA and WSUMA and other language that we looked at. So when I worked with the council members putting that forward, they were looking at designing specific language. That's where quite a bit of that came from. It was from other samples around Alaska. The intention of this was to protect a private entrance, like sleeping on the public sidewalk in front of a private driveway. However, if that is offering any kind of clarity and confusion, we can certainly work to redefine that more clearly.
Yeah, what I think I hear is that it's a little bit confusing, the wording. No person may sleep in any pedestrian or vehicle entrance to public or private property. I understand that part, but then it goes on further, says abutting a public sidewalk. So I think the concern is that no person may sleep in a pedestrian entrance, and then it goes into or private property abutting. So I think what the concern was is if we remove private, then maybe that would
Yes, Mr.
change
Mayor.
it. But
I
please go ahead.
understand that. So the title specifies 12.041.010, sleeping on public property. So then the next clarification under B is that you cannot sleep in a pedestrian or vehicular, so a sidewalk to someone's private home from on a public sidewalk, or their driveway, which would be their vehicular entrance. That's the only why we referenced private property, because that vehicular entrance or the sidewalk to their home, which is immediately connected to the public sidewalk, is what's being banned. But the fact that there's even questions means we should specify and clarify that more clearly.
So let's, can we make an amendment? You can't make an amendment to an amendment. But what I would like to see happen is that we can postpone this, send it to the attorney, and have her come up with proper wording for that paragraph, if you don't mind. So how would you like to do that, ma'am?
We have a couple options. We can either, if the person who made the motion is okay with withdrawing it, and the person who made the second, then we'd go back to the postpone, and we can direct the attorney at that time, or we can try to amend it from here.
Let's do that.
Are you okay with withdrawing your motion?
Happy to withdraw my motion.
Okay, and does the
Yes.
second agree?
Right. So now we're back to the motion to postpone till October 28th meeting, right?
Correct.
So please call the roll.
So we're voting on the motion to postpone to the next regular meeting, October 28th. Mayor Cooper.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Alcantara.
Yes.
Councilmember Carrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Collins.
Yes.
Councilmember Graham.
Yes.
And Councilmember Hudson.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. And what goes with that is, please look at that paragraph for me. All right, thank you. All right, we're now on action memorandum 05-080, authorizing the city manager to negotiate and enter into a contract with HDL Engineering Consultants in the amount not to exceed $65,710 for survey, final design, and bidding assistance for Evergreen Avenue Improvements Project. Wishes of the council?
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Madam, please, anybody want any discussion from staff? I would like to have if we could have the Public Works Director come and talk about it, if that's all right with you.
That's fine, Jude.
Mr. Mayor, council members, Jude Phillips, the Public Works Director. This project will, if approved by you, mirror what was done on the Fireweed Ave. So this is the first start of it, this is the design, and then from there, we'll come back to you, if approved, with the recommendations, and again, for your approval, to actually go to construction. But this is money from this year, and we are in a good spot right now to get this project moving. Does anybody have any questions?
Seeing none, thank you. So we vote.
Are we ready?
Yep.
Deputy Mayor Alcantara,
Yes.
Councilmember Collins,
Yes.
Mayor Cooper,
Yes.
Councilmember Carrington,
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson,
Yes.
and Councilmember Graham.
Yes.
It's approved.
Thank you. Action Memoranda 25-081, authorizing the city manager to award the Rehabilitate Airport Lighting Project to Granite Construction in the amount of $4,502,588. Wishes the council?
Move to approve?
Second?
Anybody have any questions? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, there's a lot of pages on this one about another company that was a lower bidder, but now we're back to, correct me if I'm wrong, are we back to the $4,502,000 number, or are we at the Granite Construction responsive bid of $4,830,000? Is that maybe a question for the city manager?
What you see is the approved amount for $4,502,000. As far as our actual bid that was, John, you to come up. I can't remember the exact bid that Granite Construction did. However, they did go through that whole process, and an arbitrator determined Granite Construction was a prevailing bidder.
Thank you. So I don't know what else I have for John, but I am curious though, just from my own curious person. So if Granite didn't exist and there was that difference between $4.5 million bid and a $7.1 million bid, but because the low bidder didn't do things properly, would we have had to go up $2.5 million to a $7 million bid, or can we just kind of hit the pause button, go back and look, rebid a job when there's that bigger discrepancy?
The city has a bunch of different options with contracting. We have the ability to negotiate with the contractor. We have the ability to just stop entirely and go back to the beginning. We have a lot of different rights in it through the procurement process, with a bunch of different options in the best interest of the city.
Thank you very much. Please. Is this project going to start like in May, or is this project going to start soon if we go on the affirmative on this?
If you go in the affirmative on this, what happens is we've already accepted the grant money. So I have a meeting set up in the near future with Granite. Airport lighting stuff is it's not a very high traffic item. So a lot of the stuff that's going to be installed are very long lead time. So I mean, long lead time, I mean 6 to 8 months to order a piece of equipment. So it's in our best interest to award it now and to move forward.
Thank you. John, I have a question. And I didn't see in here where the why AEC was taken off the list when they in fact were lower than Granite, and HDL recommended they be awarded the bid. Could you explain that to me, please?
Yes, sir. AEC was the low bidder of the project. We initially issued an intent to award for them. Granite protested the award, saying that AEC did not include it was a suppliers and subcontractors form in the initial bid. And the reason why that's important is because we evaluate the bid in its entirety. The city needs to be able to evaluate the suppliers and the subcontractors before awarding the bid. And it's a sealed bid, and it's problematic that we received information outside of the sealed bid. There was, in the initial bidding process, there were two conflicting pieces of information in the bid itself. One bid said that the suppliers and subcontractors form could be turned in 2 days later. And there was another piece of information, one page of the form said, notwithstanding any other page in this document, all of these items need to be turned into the sealed bid. So when I evaluated during the initial protest, that's what I decided was that page took precedence over everything else and said that the suppliers and subcontractors form needed to be turned in with the bid to be evaluated with the bid in its entirety.
All right. Yeah, they did provide that, but it was 2 days late.
They provided it an hour after the bid.
Yeah, okay. All right. That's all. That's the questions I have. Anybody else have questions for Mr. Diamante? Thank you. Back to the council. Any other questions from anybody? Okay, let's vote.
Is there ready to vote?
Yep.
Okay. Mayor Cooper.
Yes.
Councilmember Carrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Collins.
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson.
Yes.
Councilmember Graham.
Yes.
And Deputy Mayor Alcantara.
Yes.
It's approved.
Thank you. Action Memorandum 25-082, authorizing the city manager to negotiate and enter into a contract with HDL Engineering Consultants for developing a design study report for the Headworks Rehabilitation Project at the City of Palmer's wastewater treatment plant. Desires of the council?
Move to approve.
Second. Thank you. Again, if you don't mind.
Mr. Mayor, council members, so you approved, well, those of you who are new weren't part of that. You approved the appropriation of funds from the state revolving fund. And these are 100% reimbursable. They're called loans, but they're 100% reimbursable. So this is our first project utilizing those funds. This is the design and the study of how we make the Headworks facility more compatible with the number of clients that we have now and launch us into the next 15 to 20 years is what this is. So once this study is done, we will then come back to you because there will be a cost estimate associated with that to go forward as we do with any of our projects. But again, as a reminder, this is 100% reimbursable for this project. All we had was that small fee, it's called an administrative fee, that the city has already paid. And now we're into the $1.5 million loan to work on the Headworks building, which is, for those of you who do not know, every single bit of sewage generated by customers of the city of Palmer comes into one pipe and enters the sewage treatment facility. It enters through the Headworks building. The Headworks building has been very, very susceptible to flooding, to mechanical breakdowns. There are two what are called screw pumps inside this facility. They are nearing a point in their life cycle that if we do not do something, we risk having a significant failure, which I don't think I need to describe the potential impacts of that. But we are trying to be very proactive, and this is how we are going to address some of these older systems and pieces of equipment and facilities that we have to ensure that we keep going strong for a long time.
Thank you. I do have a favor ask of you. If you would give them a little bit of information about what the normal flow is and then what happened during the fair.
So, the fair was a very unique one, and It's actually a good news story and a bad news story. The good news story is that the fair had record number of crowds, and that's a great thing. But with those record number of crowds comes a record number use of restrooms. There was a gate failure in the line, and in the first 7 days of the fair, they generated 1.2 million gallons of sewage. When that issue was determined and that gate was opened, we did not realize how much volume was there. We opened that gate because it was in the line, and that came all at once into our plant, which caused us to struggle. That is a significant volume of inflow into the treatment plant. Thanks to the crew, we were able to handle everything. We did end up having a violation, is what it's called. We're under a consent decree, and that's a different topic, but I would love to share with all of our new council members about the consent decree and what that means for the city. But we were 11 and a half months with no violations, and due to that 1 point of some million gallons of flow in one afternoon. It's a good news, bad news story. But these are all the things that we are working on to address very proactively for that treatment plant. Our goal is that no one ever knows there's anything wrong. People flush the toilet, it works. People turn the water on, it works. In a perfect world, they'll never even know it exists. Unfortunately, we're not there yet, but I will tell you the crew is dedicated and committed to getting there.
And for comparison, would you please let us know what an average monthly flow is, please?
Yeah, for the state fair, just when they have little small events, it's about 13,000 gallons a month. And we took 1.2 million gallons in 7 days. So again, a testament to an awesome fair.
Yeah.
I'll try to be positive. How's that sound?
Thank you, Jude. Appreciate it. Yes, sir.
I don't know if I need Jude up here to give any background on this stuff, but I appreciate the fact that it works to continue to work with HDL, and those are some good stats from the state fair. But I guess the bigger thing is when I read things, now we're already bringing this discussion up, but the city is pursuing upgrades to capture slewed solids downstream of the moving bed bioreactor process. What does that mean in layman's terms? Because I do think touring our wastewater facility, which I've done a couple times, is not nearly as fun as touring our museum or other things, but it's a huge centerpiece of our city and the customers that we provide for, whether they be the hospital, the fairgrounds, these big customers that are driving more than 2,500 to 5,000 gallons a month, like the residents of Palmer. So what is it? What does that sentence in that thing actually mean about this slewed solids? Because I want to get less calls from people that live out. I love the people that live outside the city, but I want to get less calls from people out in the Outer Springer saying, "What on earth is going on with this thing?" So I got maybe this thing is
that's a whole different story there. And yes, so there are several components down at the wastewater treatment plant. The moving bed bioreactor it's listed there, is actually commonly referred to as MBDR. And that is the second stage in the treatment at the plant. So everything, as I just mentioned, comes into one pipe into the Headworks building. It then goes through this moving bed bioreactor where we lovingly say the bugs start to do their work and break down the substances that come into our plant. Just to continue with this discussion, through that system they then go into our clarifiers. So the clarifiers are another stage where the treatment occurs. From there, it then goes through another process, and the final treatment is through a UV sterilization building. And then we are allowed to discharge it in accordance with our national pollutant discharge permit. So Mr. Arcantara brought up a great point. I would encourage everyone to come down and take a peek. There are certain times when it's better to come down there than other times. I'm just being perfectly honest. And Mr. Alcantara, as you mentioned, yes, there were some times we are required to do dredging. And dredging stirs up the not so nice stuff at the bottom of the lagoons. Our challenge is we can only dredge when the lagoons are not frozen. And that's usually middle to the end of May through September. Now, what's that time period in Alaska? When everybody who lives here has family and friends visiting Alaska. And unfortunately, it's just a function of the job. We have created some exceptionally unpleasant aromas down there. However, I will tell you, the crew is bound and determined to fix that. And they have altered some designs and created some mechanisms to combat this. And we dredged this summer several times, and it went unnoticed to the residents in that area, which is a huge compliment to the crew. And yes, you're right, there were some times that it was appalling. I don't know how else to politely say it. Hopefully that answers your question. And there's a lot more in-depth down there, but it's best to come down and then you can see it'll make sense. And then all of our funky acronyms will make sense as well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Does anybody else on the council have any questions for Mr. Billafer? Hearing none, thank you. Please call the roll, please.
Deputy Mayor Alcantara,
Yes.
Mayor Cooper,
Yes.
Councilmember Carrington,
Yes.
Councilmember Collins,
Yes.
Councilmember Graham,
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson.
Yes.
Pass.
Thank you. Moving on, unfinished business. We have no unfinished business. We have no new business. Ma'am, record of items placed on the table, please.
I have public comments that were received via email, and it was too late to forward them to y'all. They're printed out and put them on the dais. The future council meeting dates, information on AML, and documents from the Mat-Su Health Foundation.
Thank you. And any questions about those documents that you have on the table? Hearing none. Moving to audience participation. Again, we will open up audience participation. Anyone who would like to come forward, please. 3 minutes. State your name.
You might have to give them my background.
No?
There it is. There you go.
Okay. Carolina Graver from the city of Palmer. I want to say thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members, for postponing both of those ordinances, and I appreciate that you're giving the council, as I said, time to reflect on it. And I would just ask that council that you talk with your constituents, with your friends and your neighbors, talk to city staff, talk to business owners. This is obviously an important and controversial decision, so I'm thankful that you're not taking it lightly. And that's all I have tonight.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Wilson.
Thank you. For the record, David Wilson, representing Mat-Su Health Foundation. Just wanted to invite everyone here and yourselves to the Mat-Su Sentinel event supported by the Mat-Su Health Foundation. Flip the script, election connection night. This is an opportunity to meet your borough candidates running for those candidate seats, 1, 2, 4. Also the school board seats as well. This will be in your wonderful illustrious city at the Palmer Train Depot on Thursday night, October 16th at 6 p.m. Come by, have some food, have some drinks, and learn a little bit more and flex that civic muscle. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Hello, I'm Jackie Goforth again. And I look forward to seeing the new council in person so I can see all the new faces. And congratulations. And Mayor Cooper, you might want to be a little bit harder on the gavel. It's a little bit soft so people can hear it. And Caroline is giving me a run for my money on how many times we can come up here and talk. And I just want to tell you thank you for postponing those. And I thought I heard when the attorney was talking, that she had drafted this somewhat from Homer and Wasilla. And I just wondered if that meant that Wasilla and Homer actually have something like this on the books, so it's not actually just us being so mean. And it's not really mean. I wouldn't leave an animal on the street. Why would you let a human stay on the street? So the way to get them off the street, I don't know how that works, but maybe we need some more discussion about it. But those who refuse to use the help that's been allotted to them, what choice do you have? So thank you so much for postponing it. Thank you for your leadership, and thank you for choosing to or getting elected.
Yeah.
Choosing to be here for the public. Thank you.
There you go. Anyone else? Going once, twice? Here we go. Microphone down. We'll bring back the council for council member comments. Councilwoman Hudson, please.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to make a quick comment about the amendments that were brought forward. For a long time, America has tried to lead with compassion, offering services and support. We've only seen an increase in encampments, crime, and a growing sense of danger in our public spaces. At some point, compassion must be paired with accountability. This ordinance wasn't about turning our backs on people. It was about restoring order to our city, ensuring that sidewalks, parks, and public spaces were safe, clean, and accessible to all of our residents. As a city council member, I believe in helping those in need, but it is not the role of the local government to guarantee housing for every individual. It is our responsibility to protect public safety, and that includes preventing long-term camping and vagrancy that have threatened both the health and security of our communities. We are a compassionate people, but compassion without order is chaos. The first duty of government is to protect its citizens, not by making excuses for lawlessness, but by standing firm for the rule of law, personal responsibility, and the right of every family to feel safe in their own community. If someone believes homeless camping should be allowed, they're free to offer their homes, but it is not the city's job to turn public spaces into campgrounds. Our duty is to keep our streets safe and accessible to everyone. I would also like to ask for council support to bring forth a resolution to the council for an amendment to the 2025 budget to add in the fine established for ordinance 25-004 and 25-006 into the fees and fines schedule, so that if and when this is voted on, there is a fee and fine attached to it in the previous fees and fines schedule.
I think the city manager is currently working on amending the fine schedule as we speak, and we'll direct her to continue with that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's great. I just know that when we added in previously as a council, the bonuses for the city employees, we had to vote to amend the budget.
Right.
So I just wanted to make sure that if that needed to be brought forward, it could be.
Right. We will bring that forward, and then when it's added to the budget, we will vote on that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Councilwoman Graham?
I just wanted to say thank you to everybody that came out. There was a lot of big feelings, and I know that this is a really hot button topic across the nation right now and across all of our communities. I personally have dealt with this issue for over a decade. I've worked with the local law enforcement on the CIT team, helping facilitate the training for our local law enforcement, and I think that by having these types of ordinances in place, you make sure that our law enforcement is empowered in order to maintain public safety. And I think that it's so great to hear from all different opinions and walks, because sometimes you get kind of locked into one echo chamber, and I really appreciate everybody coming out for that. I just also wanted to say really quickly, I won't be here for the October 28th meeting or the November 4th meeting. I'm going to try to call in on Zoom, but I will be international. So this is a very
long plane trip. But if I can, I will try to dial in, and if anything, I'll watch what happens when I get up the next morning. So thank you guys for being here.
Thank you. Councilwoman Carrington.
Thank you. I do want to say I appreciate you postponing these two. I think this is a very important issue and to be looked at, but I do think we need more time to look at it clearly and to have some conversations with staff and to get a better handle on it. And I will be late for the meeting on the 21st. Because our flight comes in at 5 on the 21st, and then I'll try to call in and then come in when I can get back to town.
Thank you.
That's all.
Thank you. Alternate Deputy Mayor Collins.
Thank you. I'm going to hold off on comments as far as the two ordinances where a lot of public testimony was taken today. I'm going to hold off on commenting on that until next meeting. But did want to, as far as referring to some of the items from earlier in the meeting, do appreciate the opportunities for training that sounds like are available, and just want to let folks know that I am interested in taking advantage of all of those. And as far as the additional information that was left by city manager and others on the dais there today, I don't know if that's something I can pick up from Madam Clerk later this week, or how that generally works.
Absolutely. I have copies set aside for those that could not attend in person, so I have copies available for you.
Okay. Great, and that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Alcantara.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. First off, I wanted to, I was a little derelict in duty yesterday and forgetting to thank Mayor Steve Carrington for his work, both as mayor and for the city. And I know he's no longer on Zoom, but I'm hoping somebody close to him will at least let him know that I apologize for forgetting all of his time of service, not just 4 years as mayor, but a lot of years on city council dealing with the barbs and testimony and issues. So thank you, Mayor Carrington, for that. I do want to thank everybody who came out tonight, but like my predecessor spoke about, I think I'm going to take a little bit of time to mull over the testimony and try to put a little more fine points on things and take the next 2 weeks to see what we can do. Stirring up a lot of memories, because I think about this sometimes, but why don't people go where it's warm to be homeless? And when I was 16 years old, I didn't have any mental health issues. Hopefully I don't have any now, but my wife might disagree with me. But I hitched a ride from Alaska to a Northern California town called Arbuckle, as far as they were going, a little olive town on I-5. And then my goal was, of course, go back to Southern California. Because if I was going to be homeless, I was going to be homeless somewhere warm. I ended up at Capitol Valley, California, 6 miles from the Mexico border, 32 miles from my high school. Those are some long bus rides every day to continue getting an education while I worked for $50 a week plus room and board. And I complained about it every single day as I ate 4 pieces of toast and 4 eggs and 3 bowls of cereal and everything else. But I had to put in my 25 hours a week, and they paid me every Friday $50. Here you go. Here's your $50. There were tons of people coming across the border from 6 miles away that would have cut off their left arm to make $50 a week. But I was lucky enough that somebody took me in and said, this is what we can provide: a floor, a sleeping bag, food, all the food you want, and $50 a week. And I was glad that it worked out that way. So stirs a lot of things. I would say we need, as the city of Palmer, in my opinion, to be careful comparing ourselves to places like Portland, Seattle, and Anchorage. I mean, it's not a apples to oranges comparison. It's like an apples to watermelon comparison. I mean, it's a completely different thing. When we start talking about what does Homer do, what's Wasilla do, what does Soldotna do, what does Craig do? I mean, we can have those discussions, but I don't ever see Palmer becoming another Anchorage or Seattle or Portland. So I would just kind of think that through over the next couple weeks and further as we go. Luckily for me, the people that put me up were religious people that brought me on a different path, and they lived Exodus 35 too. So Sundays were for us and for the Lord and not for work. So luckily I had every Sunday off. But I want to finally say kind of prayers for Western Alaska villages that are going through some insanely tough times right now. Speaking of homeless folks and displaced folks, there's just a lot of issues happening out there that are weather related and like somebody mentioned earlier, I think it might have been Ginger who left, but Native villages do an amazing job of helping each other, but I think they need a lot of help from us at this point. So I'll leave it at that, and I'll look forward to seeing you guys in a couple weeks. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to also thank the folks who came out, those who live locally and those who have to drive an hour and a half from Talkeetna. You know, obviously it's a very complex issue. You know, I don't believe there's a silver bullet. I don't believe any city has actually been able to figure this out. You know, so we do need to take a bunch of time and think about this and figure out what direction we're going to go. On a probably more serious note, you probably have heard or read some of the comments that I made about what I thought about the council, and members from throughout the state have approached me and they're wondering, you know, what has been happening in the past with the city of Palmer, and I think we've lost the trust and confidence of the people, and I think we need to work hard together so that we can regain that trust. Our main job in the council, when we pass legislation, is to make sure that we do it in the best interests of all the residents, regardless of, you know, your religious, your political, or your personal beliefs. I understand that that's a good way to guide your life, but when it comes to making decisions here in the council, those have to be put aside, and we have to look at, you know, whether you agree with it or not, whatever the best decision is for the majority of the people in Palmer, we should be voting yes on that. You know, like I say, if you don't like, for example, removing the railroad tracks, you know, that could be a personal belief, but if it's better for the people, better for ADA, better for all of that, we need to vote yes on those, and so we need to pay attention to that. You know, that's our jobs, and that's why we were elected, was to represent the entire community. And I know that we will continue and start doing, you know, what is best. But please, you know, try not to be influenced on those decisions by your beliefs. Last night, and everybody was given the code of ethics on the table, and I wish the council to please read that and make sure that we comply with those code of ethics. There's been some questions in the past, and we need to make sure that we're in compliance. We also need to, the council has been reactive in the past to issues, and not necessarily not proactive, and to that end, we need to provide the city manager a list of projects, things that she can make a calendar around, as opposed to, you know, coming up with individual items every other week or so. You know, we have to make sure that she has potentially 1 and 3 and 5 year projects. And to that end, I'm going to propose that we have a work session in a few weeks, and that we will come up with a list of projects like we had done in the past, and bring that forward, and then we'll have council approval on all those projects. We'll be able to give that to the city manager, and then she'll be able to focus, and we'll all be able to focus on how we can move forward in the future. You know, I know that everybody wants the best. Everybody on the council wants the best for the city, and I know that they're going to damn well do the best that they can from now on. And so that's my promise to you, is that we will move forward and be positive and become a positive influence and regain the trust and confidence of the city. Thank you. With that, we're adjourned.
Turn your mic off.